Look closely. For the first time, we're seeing video of a woman retrieving a gun moments before she murdered her wife.
In the Perkins case, it is a wife who kills her wife. There had been escalating violence.
In November 2022, Shakaya Perkins shot out of the house she shared with her wife, Cornishia Perkins, stalked to her car, and came back with a gun in her left hand. Then Shakaya shot Cornishia in the head and killed her. He says last month Shakaya Perkins pled guilty to murder and more. Thomas says though they shared the bond of matrimony on the day of the murder, Shakaya Perkins should not have been near her wife because Shakaya was out on bond totaling $70,000 on charges of aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, felony, and arson first degree.
Picture this. November 17, 2022. A quiet Atlanta neighborhood. A mother of 4 inside her new home. The house she just bought to give her children the life she never had. And then, the sound of splintering wood. A door kicked open. One gunshot. By the time police arrived, 31-year-old Cornishia Butler was already gone. Her 2-year-old son had watched his mother take her last breath. But here's the thing. This wasn't some random act of violence. The person who walked through that door, Cornishia knew her, had loved her, had tried desperately to escape her for over a year. 4 domestic violence cases, a burned car, text messages that read, "I'm going for first degree, not second," stamped that. A restraining order, a $70,000 bond. Cornishia had done everything the system told her to do. So how did we get here? Memphis, Tennessee. That's where Cornishia Butler's story begins. Born and raised in the heart of the South, she was a woman with ambition burning in her veins. But Memphis felt too small for her dreams. So, around 2016, she made a decision that would change everything. She packed up her life and moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta represented opportunity, a fresh start, a place where she could build something lasting for her 4 children, 3 daughters and a son. Cornishia wasn't just a dreamer. She was a doer. She worked as a licensed tax preparer, registered with the IRS. People trusted her with their finances. She was detail-oriented, professional, dependable. But that wasn't enough for her. She also trained as an esthetician, offering beauty treatments, skincare services, helping women feel confident and beautiful. 2 careers, 4 kids, and eventually a 5-bedroom house she could call her own. To everyone watching from the outside, Cornishia Butler was winning. She was the embodiment of resilience, stylish, successful, full of life. Her friends describe her as magnetic. She had a smile that could light up a room, a laugh that was contagious. She was the person you called when you needed lifting up, the friend who'd celebrate your smallest victories like they were championship wins. On Facebook and Instagram, her life looked picture perfect. She was building the life her children deserved. But behind those filtered photos, behind the smiles and the success, something darker was brewing, something toxic, something that would eventually destroy everything she'd worked so hard to build. See, there was someone in Cornishia's life who didn't fit the narrative of success and independence she was trying to write. Someone whose love came with strings attached. Someone who saw Cornishia's strength not as inspiration, but as a threat. And that someone was Shakaya Perkins. They met back in Memphis, around 2016. Shakaya Perkins, friends called her Shaki, came on strong from the very beginning. Grand romantic gestures, expensive gifts, public declarations of love. For Cornishia, who had been doing everything on her own for so long, this level of attention must have felt like a dream. After years of juggling motherhood, work, and survival, here was someone promising to share the load. Someone who said they'd stand by her side through everything. Within 6 months, Shakaya had moved into Cornishia's home. Their relationship deepened quickly. Too quickly, some would later say. Shakaya didn't just date Cornishia, she became part of her world. She bonded with the children, stepped into a co-parenting role, integrated herself into every aspect of Cornishia's life. From the outside, they looked like the perfect couple. They posted matching outfits on social media, shared inside jokes, called each other wife. Their Valentine's Day posts were full of heart emojis and promises of forever. But forever doesn't come easy, and in their case, it wouldn't come at all. The warning signs started small. Jealousy disguised as concern. Control masquerading as protection. Shakaya would check Cornishia's phone, ask too many questions about where she'd been and who she'd been with, get upset when Cornishia spent time with friends or family without her. These behaviors at first seemed like passion, like someone who just loved deeply. But it wasn't love, it was possession. Friends and family began to notice. Cornishia started missing family gatherings, making excuses, canceling plans at the last minute to keep the peace. Shakaya's jealousy wasn't limited to other romantic interests. It extended to everyone. Friends, siblings, even Cornishia's own children. When Cornishia succeeded in her career, when her client list grew, when her income increased, Shakaya didn't celebrate. She undermined, made hurtful comments, downplayed her achievements. It was as if Cornishia's success reminded Shakaya of her own insecurities. And here's where it got even more toxic. Shakaya wasn't contributing much to household expenses, but she felt entitled to question how Cornishia spent her money. If Cornishia bought something without asking permission first, it would trigger arguments that lasted for days. This is classic abusive behavior. Financial control, emotional manipulation, isolation. But recognizing it when you're in it, that's a different story. The relationship settled into a terrifying pattern. An argument would start over something small, a text message, a purchase, a conversation. Then it would escalate. Shakaya's temper would explode. Yelling, destruction, threats, and then just as suddenly it would stop. Shakaya would apologize, promise to change, show the softer side that had originally drawn Cornishia in. Sweet words, weeks of peace. This is what experts call the cycle of abuse, and it's one of the most insidious traps in domestic violence. Because those good moments, those brief periods of calm, they give the victim hope. Hope that this time will be different. Hope that the person they fell in love with is still in there somewhere. By 2018, this had become Cornishia's normal. Explosive arguments followed by dramatic breakups, followed by passionate reconciliations. Each breakup lasted a little longer. During the separations, Cornishia would try to date other people, move forward with her life. But Shakaya always found a way back in. And each time she did, the jealousy grew stronger, the control tightened, the violence escalated. Imagine walking on eggshells in your own home, constantly adjusting your behavior to avoid triggering an outburst, explaining to your children why the person who said they loved you is screaming at you, trying to maintain a facade of normalcy when your world is chaos. That was Cornishia's reality. Friends would tell her, leave, just leave. But it's never that simple, is it? There's the emotional bond, what psychologists call trauma bonding. There's the hope that things will get better. There's the fear of what might happen if you do leave. And in Cornishia's case, that fear was about to become very, very real. March 2021, the first physical act. Until March 2021, the violence had been mostly verbal and emotional. But that month, something changed. During an argument, Shakaya completely lost control. She smashed Cornishia's phone, destroyed her laptop. These weren't just devices, they were Cornishia's lifeline to her business, her clients, her income. The destruction was symbolic. It was about cutting Cornishia off from her independence, from the outside world, about making sure she couldn't function without Shakaya's permission. By summer 2021, neighbors were hearing the arguments through the walls. One evening, the screaming got so loud that someone called the police. When officers arrived, Cornishia chose not to press charges. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she still had hope. Maybe she just wanted it to be over. But it wasn't over. September 13th, 2021, the car ramming. September 13th, 2021, Cornishia was driving, probably replaying the breakup conversation in her mind. She had finally done it. She'd ended things with Shakaya for good. Or so she thought. Suddenly, a car swerved into her lane. It was Shakaya. She rammed Cornishia's vehicle from behind, then hit it again from the side. Cornishia's car spun, tires screeching. She managed to regain control, pull over to safety, her heart pounding. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't road rage. This was attempted murder. September 15th, 2021, kicking down the door. 2 days later, Shakaya showed up at the house where Cornishia was temporarily staying. She didn't knock. She didn't call. She kicked the door in with such force that the frame cracked. Cornishia filed an incident report. The police documented everything. But documentation doesn't stop a fist. It doesn't repair a shattered sense of safety. September 25, 2021, the night of fire. September 25th, 2021, a date that would become burned into the memory of everyone who knew Cornishia. It was late, around 2:15 a.m. Cornishia was inside her rental home with her children and a friend. Then she saw it, an orange glow in the driveway. At first, she thought it was a reflection, a trick of the light. But as she got closer to the window, the horrible truth became clear. Her pink Mercedes-Benz, the car she'd worked so hard to afford, the car that had become her signature, the car her friends called her Barbie car, was completely engulfed in flames. But it didn't stop there. The fire spread to her Jeep Wrangler parked right next to it. Within minutes, both vehicles were reduced to smoking metal skeletons. The heat was so intense it damaged the house itself. Neighbors' doorbell cameras later confirmed what everyone suspected. Shakaya had been in the area that night. Police arrested her, charged her with 4 felonies, aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, and arson in the 1st degree. Finally, Cornishia thought. Finally, she'll be locked up. But here's where the system failed Cornishia for the first time. A judge set Shakaya's bond at $70,000. Within 8 days, Shakaya posted bond and was back on the streets. Let that sink in for a moment. A woman who had tried to run someone off the road, kicked in their door, and set their cars on fire, was free after just 8 days. The bond conditions? She had to stay 200 yards away from Cornishia. That was it. No ankle monitor, no daily check-ins, just a piece of paper saying stay away. And we all know how effective paper is against gasoline and matches.
Pretty soon after we showed that video, she decided to take the plea.
He says last month, Shakaya Perkins pled guilty to murder and more.
She ultimately pled to life with the possibility of parole. That was a plea deal that was offered. So she admitted everything.
Thomas says though they shared the bond of matrimony on the day of the murder, Shakaya Perkins should not have been near her wife because Shakaya was out on bond totaling $70,000 on charges of aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, felony, and arson 1st degree. Conditions including must not come within 200 yards of the victim in those alleged incidents.
The restraining order. Cornishia did exactly what you're supposed to do. She went to court. She filed for a restraining order. She presented evidence. The car ramming, the arson, the destruction of property, the threats. The judge granted it immediately. 1 full year of protection. Shakaya was legally required to stay away. For a brief moment, Cornishia could breathe. She had the law on her side now. She had protection. She could finally move forward, and move forward she did. Cornishia bought a new house, a beautiful place with enough room for her and all 4 of her children. She posted pictures on Facebook, her pride practically glowing through the screen. Been in Atlanta going on 2 years. Best decision we could have made. My kids been through hell and back with me. It's only right I give them a life I never had. She was rebuilding, creating stability, proving to herself and her children that they could overcome anything. Valentine's Day 2022. A disturbing post. But here's where things get complicated. Because in February 2022, months after the arson, months after the restraining order, Shakaya posted something on Facebook that made everyone uncomfortable. A photo of her and Cornishia together. The caption read, "Happy Valentine's Day to my sweet and sour wife." Remember that? 6 years of toxic love. I wouldn't do it with nobody else but you, my love. Wait, what? They were together on Valentine's Day? Despite the restraining order? Despite everything that had happened? This is where public opinion gets divided. Some people say, see, she kept letting Shakaya back in. She violated her own restraining order. Others say, you don't understand trauma bonding. You don't understand how abuse works. And they're both right. Domestic violence is never black and white. The victim often goes back, not because they're stupid, not because they don't care about safety, but because leaving an abuser is incredibly complex. There's fear, there's manipulation, there's love mixed with terror. But here's the important part. Even if Cornishia did let Shakaya back in temporarily, it doesn't change what happens next. By late summer 2022, Cornishia was done. Truly, finally done. Whatever brief reconciliation had happened over Valentine's Day was over. She was moving on with her life. She was dating other people. She was focused on her children, her home, her business. She had made peace with the fact that she and Shakaya were not meant to be together. But Shakaya, she had made no such peace. The stalking begins. In the months leading up to November 2022, Shakaya's behavior became increasingly obsessive. She would show up at Cornishia's workplace unannounced. Sometimes she'd just stand outside for hours, watching, not saying anything, just watching. Clients reported seeing her. Coworkers were concerned. One day, Cornishia's oldest daughter found a note on her school backpack. No one else could have left it there. It was Shakaya's way of saying, "I can reach you anywhere. I can get to your children." Then there were the phone calls. Shakaya would call from burner phones, untraceable numbers she'd purchased specifically for this purpose. She wouldn't say anything. She'd just breathe into the phone, let Cornishia know she was there, listening, waiting. This is psychological warfare. This is terrorism on a personal scale. But the most damning evidence, the proof that what came next was premeditated, calculated, planned, came in the form of text messages. Shakaya sent messages to Cornishia in the weeks before her death, and they weren't subtle. They weren't vague threats that could be interpreted multiple ways. They were crystal clear. Let's be clear about what that means. First-degree murder is premeditated, it's planned, it's intentional. Second degree is a crime of passion, something done in the heat of the moment. Shakaya wasn't threatening to kill Cornishia in a fit of rage. She was telling her, "I'm planning this, I'm thinking about it, and I'm going to do it." This wasn't a warning, it was a promise. November 16th, 2022, the day before Cornishia's murder. Shakaya posted something on Facebook that in hindsight reads like a confession. This wasn't about personal growth. This was about letting go of hesitation. Letting go of the last shred of conscience that might have stopped her. This was Shakaya's way of saying goodbye to the part of herself that had, up until now, only threatened. Tomorrow, she wouldn't just threaten, she would act. Cornishia wasn't silent about what was happening. She reported the restraining order violations to police, multiple times. 6 documented reports in the 3 weeks after she obtained the order. Each time she told them, "Shakaya is violating the order. She's following me. She's threatening me. I'm scared." And each time the response was the same. Has she made physical contact? No? Then there's not much we can do. Keep documenting everything. Keep documenting. Keep documenting. As if documentation could stop a bullet. One officer even noted in a report that when they tried to serve Shakaya with the final protective order, she refused to sign it. And she said something that should have sent chills down everyone's spine. Papers don't stop bullets. No one took it seriously. No one increased patrols. No one put Shakaya back in jail for violating bond. The system that had already failed Cornishia once was preparing to fail her again.
She tried to run Cornishia off the road in her car, and this all happened within months of this incident. Also, there was an incident where she set Cornishia's car, she had a Jeep, set her car on fire in the driveway.
Look closely. For the first time, we're seeing video of a woman retrieving a gun moments before she murdered her wife.
In the Perkins case, it is a wife who kills her wife. There had been escalating violence.
In November 2022, Shakaya Perkins shot out of the house she shared with her wife, Cornishia Perkins, stalked to her car, and came back with a gun in her left hand. Then Shakaya shot Cornishia in the head and killed her. He says last month Shakaya Perkins pled guilty to murder and more. Thomas says though they shared the bond of matrimony on the day of the murder, Shakaya Perkins should not have been near her wife because Shakaya was out on bond totaling $70,000 on charges of aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, felony, and arson first degree.
November 17th, 2022. For Cornishia, it started like any other day. She woke up early, got her 3 daughters ready for school, made breakfast for her 2-year-old son. She was probably already thinking about her appointments for the day, the errands she needed to run, the million little things that fill a single mother's mind. Her daughters left for school around 7:30 a.m. They hugged their mom goodbye. They had no idea it would be the last time. What Cornishia didn't know, couldn't have known, was that Shakaya had been following her all day. Yes, all day. Phone records would later show that Shakaya had been tracking Cornishia's movements since early morning. She watched as Cornishia dropped the kids at school, followed her to the pharmacy when she picked up medicine for her toddler who had a slight fever, shadowed her to the grocery store. Shakaya was patient, methodical. She was waiting for the right moment. The moment when Cornishia would be alone, vulnerable. Around 3 p.m., Cornishia returned home with her 2-year-old son, her groceries, her pharmacy bag. She was probably looking forward to a quiet afternoon before the older kids came home from school. Surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera shows Shakaya's car parked across the street, just sitting there, watching, waiting. At approximately 5:45 p.m., there was a knock on Cornishia's door. Not a bang, not aggressive pounding, just a knock. Gentle, even. The kind of knock that doesn't scream danger. The kind that makes you think it might be a neighbor, a delivery, someone you know. Cornishia, despite everything, opened the door. Maybe she thought she could handle it. Maybe she hoped for a calm conversation. Maybe she just wanted Shakaya to leave her alone and thought facing her directly would make that clear. We'll never know her reasoning, because what happened next happened fast. 5:50 p.m. The gunshot. Neighbors reported hearing raised voices, an argument. Then, after a brief silence, a single gunshot. Just one. By 6:07 p.m., a neighbor had called 911. They'd heard the shot, heard a child crying, knew something was terribly wrong. Police and paramedics arrived within minutes, but it was too late. Cornishia Butler had been shot in the head at close range. She was pronounced dead at the scene. And her 2-year-old son? He was found standing near his mother's body, covered in her blood, crying for her to wake up. That little boy watched his mother die. He saw the person who was supposed to love them walk in and destroy everything. And he'll carry that memory for the rest of his life. Cornishia's mother, who had suffered a stroke and was partially paralyzed, was also in the house. She sat on the couch, helpless, unable to move, unable to scream, unable to save her daughter. She had to sit there and watch her child be murdered. Later that day, Cornishia's 3 daughters came home from school. They were expecting to see their mom. Maybe she'd have a snack ready. Maybe she'd ask about their day. Instead, they walked into a crime scene. Police cars, yellow tape, neighbors crying. And they learned that their mother was gone.
Recognize domestic violence and seek help. There's a lot of organizations out there that will help.
We here in Fulton County need to do what they've done all across the country and create a family justice center so the victims here, when they are going through this abuse, they have somewhere to go and resources to help them to rebuild their lives.
The real victims of this tragedy are Cornishia's 4 children. 3 daughters and a son who will grow up without their mother. Her oldest daughter is now the one helping her siblings with homework, making sure they eat breakfast, trying to fill a void that can never be filled. Her 2-year-old son, the one who witnessed the murder, will need years of therapy. He may not consciously remember every detail, but trauma that deep doesn't go away. Cornishia's sister and other family members took the children in. They're being raised by people who love them, but it's not the same. It will never be the same. When news of Cornishia's death went viral on social media, the response was overwhelming. People who had never met her felt the loss, because it could have been them, their sister, their friend, their daughter. Advocacy groups used Cornishia's story to push for reforms, better enforcement of protective orders, stricter bond requirements for domestic violence offenders, increased funding for victim support services. But reforms don't bring her back. They don't undo the trauma her children endured. There are questions we'll never have answers to. Why did Cornishia let Shakaya back in after the arson? Could she have relocated, changed her number, disappeared? Why didn't the system act faster when she reported the violations? What would it have taken to save her life? Some people place blame on Cornishia for going back. They say she should have known better. But that's not how trauma bonding works. That's not how fear works. That's not how abuse works. Others blame the system entirely. And while the system absolutely failed, it's not the whole story either. The truth is, domestic violence is complex. There's rarely one single failure point. It's a cascade of bad decisions, systemic gaps, and missed opportunities. If you've made it this far, you're not just here for entertainment. You're here because you want to understand. You want to learn. You want to make sure this doesn't happen again. So let's talk about the lessons Cornishia's story teaches us. Lesson number 1. Red flags don't wave themselves. The warning signs were there from the beginning. Jealousy, control, isolation, destruction of property. These behaviors don't get better on their own. They escalate. If someone you know is showing these signs, speak up. Offer support. Don't wait until it's too late. Lesson number 2. Restraining orders are not magic. A piece of paper cannot stop someone determined to harm you. If you have a restraining order and it's being violated, you cannot rely solely on the system. Have a safety plan. Tell people where you are. Consider relocating if possible. Your life is worth more than waiting for justice. Lesson number 3. Leaving is the most dangerous time. The most dangerous period in an abusive relationship is when the victim tries to leave. That's when the abuser feels they're losing control, and that's when violence peaks. If you're planning to leave, do it safely. Get help from domestic violence organizations. Don't announce it on social media. Protect your location. Have a support network. Lesson number 4. Trauma bonding is real. Stop judging victims who go back to their abusers. It's not weakness. It's not stupidity. It's a psychological phenomenon that happens when fear and love get tangled together. Instead of judgment, offer compassion. Offer resources. Keep the door open. Lesson number 5. The system must change. Cornishia did everything right. She reported, she filed, she documented, and she still died. That's not her fault. That's the system's fault. We need stronger enforcement of protective orders. We need judges who take domestic violence seriously when setting bond. We need resources for victims trying to rebuild their lives. If this story has affected you, if it's made you realize you or someone you know might be in danger, here's what you can do. And if you're not in danger yourself, you can still help. Volunteer at a domestic violence shelter. Donate to organizations that support survivors. Educate yourself and others about the signs of abuse. Cornishia Butler was 31 years old, a mother of 4, a tax preparer, an esthetician, a daughter, sister, and friend. She had dreams, she had plans, she had a future, and one person took all of that away because they couldn't accept that she wanted to be free. Her story isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that domestic violence doesn't discriminate, and that the system designed to protect us is broken in ways that cost lives. We can't bring Cornishia back, but we can make sure her death meant something. We can demand better. We can do better. If this story has left you shaken, if it's made you think twice about the people in your life, if it's opened your eyes to the cracks in our justice system, don't just scroll past. Hit that subscribe button. Because every week we bring you stories like this. Stories that demand to be told. Stories that could save lives. Turn on notifications so you never miss a case that could teach you the warning signs you need to recognize. Share this video, not for us, but for Cornishia's children. For every victim whose voice was silenced, for the people in your life who might need to hear this message. Leave a comment below. Tell us, what systemic change do you think would have saved Cornishia's life? Do you think the plea deal was fair? What would you have done differently? Your voice matters, your awareness matters, your willingness to speak up when you see abuse might save someone's life. And if you're in an abusive relationship right now, if you're scared, If you're planning your escape, we see you. You're not alone. You deserve to be safe. Reach out. Get help. Your life is worth fighting for. Rest in peace, Cornishia Butler. You deserved so much better. You deserved a system that protected you. You deserved justice before it was too late. You deserve to watch your children grow up. Until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, love should never hurt.